Canadiens lose, but once again, what an entertaining hockey game. You get the feeling a lot of players would like to play in this system, or should I say within the concepts. Is Marty St. the new age coach in the National Hockey League? Will it be a trend for other teams to hire coaches that don't necessarily have the experience? And are the recycled coaches and the defensive-minded coaches a thing of the past? I'll ask one guy with a very offensive mind, a la Marty St. former Hab, Mike Ribeiro, coming up on the Sick Podcast.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro. The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
And now a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Sports entertainment like no other. Brought to you by 8.6 Beer, intense by nature. And La Cage. If the last time you went to La Cage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you went back to La Cage. The menu will surprise you.
Narrow the Sick Podcast. Follow us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at the Sick Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's absolutely free. Tell your friends about it. The podcast is sick, and of course, is brought to you by 8.6 Beer. Intense by nature. The beer for those who follow their instinct and live their passions in order to make their mark. And La Cage. If the last time you went to La Cage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you go back to La Cage. Hey, go with me. I was at La Cage La Salle a couple of days back on Sunday, and at La Cage de Carey the day before that on Saturday. The menu will surprise you. It no longer surprises me because I now know what the Cage is all about. Joining me today, I know what this guy's all about as well. I've had him on the podcast on more than one occasion. Mike Ribeiro, what's going on?
How's it going, Tony?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
Good. Listen, I don't know if it was the last time we spoke or before that. At one point you told me you wanted to coach the Montreal Canadiens. Yeah. I laughed a little bit because you didn't have all that much experience besides coaching your son over the past couple of years. And lo and behold, the Montreal Canadiens ended up hiring a guy who's really only experience besides a consultant's job with Columbus a couple of years ago to help out their power play, is a guy who was actually coaching his son at a peewee or bantam or whatever level it was. And he's done pretty good. A record of 10-10-2 for Marty St. His team is scoring a lot of goals. They have this never say die attitude. They're able to fight back in hockey games. They're able to generate offense. And before he was hired, a lot of people said, he doesn't have they don't have the players. They don't have the horses. They can't generate offense. And now they're doing it. What a new coach can do. I haven't had a chance to hear you talk about him. So let me hear you talk about him now. Number one, on February 9th, when the Canadiens announced Marty St. as their new interim coach, you thought what?
Well, like everyone, I think I was surprised at first, but I thought it was a great move. You said, okay, he doesn't have experience, but I think he has enough experience as a player, right? He understands the game. It's not like he never played hockey and then he's just jumping in but I'm really happy with it. And he's a guy with passion. He's a guy that guys in the room will respect him, right? Will respect him as a player that he was, as a person that he is. And if he can communicate, obviously he can. I think players will love him because he'll understand what players go through because he's been in that position before. So I think it was a great move for Montreal Canadiens. And as you see it, they're playing better. You'll see even from here, you can feel the atmosphere is different. So I think that was a great move for the Montreal Canadiens, and I wish him really good luck.
Mike, he really impressed a lot of people, the fan base and members of the media on his introductory press conference where he was asked about, what he coaches and the fact that he prefers concepts over system. Let's listen in on what he had to say that day when asked about concepts over systems.
Yeah, systems, I feel like you box players in to be in a certain spot. And sometimes you don't allow them to make reads because of it. A concept is more playing with a little more instinct, with ideas of how we want to be as a team. Now, there is structure inside concepts. Systems, you can say structure. When systems, you box players into only certain things they can do. And that was probably one of the things that I hated the most as a player, is play in a system where I was a great player when I was allowed to make reads, because the best players make the best reads. But if you take the reads out of the equation, those best players become average. So I want to make sure that I allow my best players to make reads. And I rather them make a bad one than not making a read at all. And sometimes in systems, there's not much reads. And so that's why I'm more excited about, as a player, playing in a concept than in a system. But there's tons of structure in a concept. It's just a little more freedom.
Mike, when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's deep. That's intense. Like this 8.6 beer over here. Talk to me about it. What did you think of what he had to say?
That's just a smart player. He was a really smart player. Not just a smart player, but a smart guy of the game. Like he said, a system, you got to be in your position, and you cannot get away from that position. Is straight lines back and forth, stay in your position. And that's what helped me play, is because I understood the other team's systems. A concept, like he said, is give the top guys a chance to replace, to make show their skill. And that's what helped me in Dallas, is that Tippett allowed me to read and allowed me to do things that other guys maybe can't. At the same time, yes, I'll give you that freedom, that freedom to anticipate, or to don't make a play at the blue line. I'll give you that freedom. But, after, don't turn the puck too much at the blue line. I'll give you that freedom to make your play that you think is the right play with your instincts. But at the same time, I don't want you to hurt the team either. So give some freedom to your top players. Like you said, a smart top players will have the instincts, will have that read that some of the guys won't. And you want to let those guys free a little bit into that concept. Not, like he said, system. You got to be in that position. You cannot leave that position until it comes to your time to play your route. But by the concept, like he's saying, is that, yeah, you be in position, but if you can read that play, if I can put and understand that the D is going to go D to D, well, instead of going hitting that guy as a F1, I can read and try to pick up that puck, right? So give some freedom to your players in the concept, but you don't want them to deviate from the concept and just freeloading out there either, right?
Yeah.
So it's a touchy, but a lot of times you give that to your top players, their first line, second line guys, a few guys, but after that, you want the other ones to like play in that system, that's a structure that you call for the third, fourth line, even the second line sometimes.
So let's talk about some of those top line players. Cole Caulfield under Dominic Ducharme had scored 1 goal in 30 games. There was a lot of talk of sending him to Laval, the American Hockey League. I, for one, was saying you got to get him out of Montreal. I mean, it's not a good environment. They're losing games. He's not getting better. His confidence is dipping by the game, by the period, by the minute, all that stuff. And he was on the fourth line. He was getting 11 minutes. They were taking away his power play time. In comes Marty St. Louis, and Cole Caulfield has 13 goals in 22 games. It's an unbelievable pace, where if he would have continued this pace, if they'd be on that pace for an entire season, he ends up being a 50-goal scorer under Marty St. Louis. So what has Marty St. Louis done for Cole Caulfield? Is it that? Is it just saying, don't worry about the system, just make reads?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I think for the kid to seeing St. Louis come in, I think that probably boosts him, right? St. Louis is probably like same size as him, so it's kind of a great image for Caulfield to look at, right?
It was his idol. He was his idol growing up, Mike. He wore number 26.
And that's my point. So like right there, when he heard that gives you a boost, right? That gives you confidence. And if the coach really trusts you, and you can feel that from the coach, it's going to help you on the ice. It's just the trust of a coach, and knowing that the coach like you and trusts you, you're going to play different. It's just a different approach to the game mentally. And it looks like he's playing more freely. He's not stiff, right? And I kind of knew like it was normal for him. It was the second year. It was normal that it was going to be harder this year at the beginning, because teams will know him. teams will target him or play different defense against him. It was going to be hard at the beginning of the year for him for sure. But I think the change, I think, helped everyone, not just him, but it kind of gave the boost to everyone. And I think I talked about it the last podcast, but we're talking about the GM. And I was saying, well, if you bring someone that the guys know, it's probably going to help them, get ready or get the confidence back. So for them to bring Martin St. I think everyone in the room was like, that was a booster. That was like, and St. was a guy with passion. There's a guy that worked so hard. The work ethic was so high that, as a player, you look at the coach that's coaching you, that what he did, well, you want to impress him. You want to do, you want to try to mimic what he did, or, when Marty is going to talk to Cofield's going to be, well, yeah, I think he's right, because he's been there. So it's a different mentality, different approach to the game. And they're playing a little bit more loose now. Obviously, they're not making the playoffs, but I think it's a great move. It was a great move to change the coach at this time, give time to Martin to know their players this year, and by next year they can get ready and start the season right away.
Mike, the Canadiens are coming off a 7-4 loss in Florida, in which they were down by a score of 4-1. They scored 2 goals in 31 seconds, 3 goals in a minute 42. They tie up the game after 2. They end up giving up 2 goals in the third, and then an empty netter to make it the 7-4 Florida. But anyway, in that game, Cole Caulfield had 17 minutes, Nick Suzuki had 19 minutes. But prior to that, there were games where Caulfield was getting 19 to 20, and Suzuki was getting 22 and 23. I mean, talk to me about young players getting that kind of ice time. I mean, I don't think I ever met a player who complained about getting too much ice, but should we worry, or is this actually a great thing? The more ice, the better.
I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing. Playing 20 minutes, I think is perfect. And obviously, if you're playing on a PK, power play, if you're playing all those, you're going to play a lot. And even in a PK, I used to like to play there, put some of your good players on a PK. But like you said, they're going to replays that the other guys might not on a PK. So, but 21, 22, they're young kids. Obviously, if you have back-to-back games, you're probably not going to play them back-to-back games at 23 minutes. But just to manage their time, but more you play, better you play as a top player. Like you said, if you put Caulfield in the fourth line playing 11 minutes, it's not the same player. You never played that. You always played a lot of minutes. And if you change those minutes, it's not the same game. If you play in the first line or second, it's not the same game. You don't play the same. You don't play the same minutes. When it's an offensive zone face-off and you're in the first line, well, chances are you're going to go. So you know it. You're ready for it. But playing kids 18, 19, 20, 21, they're young. They're in good shape. Those guys don't go out like we used to do. So they're ready every game. They're drinking shakes and water every night. They're not drinking that 8.6, that's for sure.
Mike, when you were a junior hockey player, there's some people that looked at you and said, this guy's not going to play in the National Hockey League, right? He's too skinny, he's too frail, he's too fragile, he's going to get eaten alive. When you made it to the National Hockey League, some people said, this guy's not going to last in the National Hockey League, right? He's too skinny, he's too frail, they're going to eat him alive. You went on to play not only a long time in the National Hockey League, you picked up a lot of points. There were years where you were number 1 centerman on your team. When you take a look at guys like Suzuki, who's under 6 feet tall, guys like Caulfield, who's like 5'6", and way under 6 feet tall, there are those who doubt that they could be first-line players, even though they show us flashes and they show us games where they definitely have the ability to do so. Are you convinced that size doesn't matter because you've been there, done that? Are you convinced that Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield are first-line players?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty convinced that they are, or they will be for a long time, right? They're still young. But when you're small and not big, you got to be smart. You got to figure out the game. You got to figure out, where's my time and space? Where can I get space? So a lot of times you got to develop more hockey sense to figure out how you're going to fit it, right? I was small playing against 6'4", 6'5" guys going in a corner. Well, am I going to go and just go pick up the puck? No, he's going to crush me. I need to figure out a way to be that guy. So your mind, and you have to learn the game a little bit more to create space because you're smaller. For me, I wasn't that fast either. So how can I adjust myself? So a lot of the game for me was mental. right? It wasn't physical. I didn't have a great shot. I wasn't fast. It was really to understand the game, understand the other team's systems, right? Understand what my open eyes will be. When can I have a second more here? So your game's different, your mind's different than a guy that's 6'5". Eric Lindros that goes in the corner. He doesn't have to think too much about which move he's going to do. He's going to pick up the puck and skate with it, right? So how can I pick a guy's pocket if he's twice my size? Well, I got to be smarter. The same thing with Martin. You
got to take away the puck carrier's time and space instead of putting yourself in a confrontation where you're exerting all your energy, because you'll never win that battle.
That's it. It's same thing. Like if I'm playing in my defensive zone against one big guy, I'm not going to try to go ran him over. It would make no sense, right?
Okay.
Two, I will lose energy. He won't. So I need to be smarter playing the puck. My position, where's my stick? How can I get that puck from him, right? So there's a lot of, and those kids are a better skater than I was. So, but by giving them that freedom to make a play at the blue line, right? Because of their skills, they're young. They're going to turn the puck over. They're going to make mistakes. But if you don't allow them to have that freedom at the blue line or make a play instead of dumping the puck or have to chip it, try that play at the blue line. Okay, it's not going to work all the time, but give that freedom, give that confidence to those kids to try to make a play because they can do it. Not everyone can do it.
You were just saying you have to try and figure things out because you can't play a certain way versus certain players, which leads me to Brendan Gallagher, who didn't play last night because he's out of lineup right now with injury. But a couple of weeks ago, Marty St. basically said that he wants Brendan Gallagher, for the good of his career and the rest of his career, to reinvent himself. He doesn't want him to be just an F1 and only an F1. He doesn't want him to go into the mix and into the fight. He wants him to reinvent himself. It sounds pretty brilliant to me. Some will say that you can't do that because Gallagher only knows how to play one way. But between you and I, if he continues to play that same way he's played his entire career, he's not going to last. So I totally get St. Louis. So what do you think he has in mind for Gallagher?
Slow down a bit, right? He's a go, go, go guy, right? But if you can't adjust yourself to the game, you're done. If he keeps doing that for 3 more years, he's going to be done. The game changes every 5-6 years. There's different coach, different system, different approach. If you cannot adjust yourself to the game or how to approach it, you're going to be done faster than others. So even for me, I started my first 5 years, you could hook, cross-check, you could do whatever you wanted. And then they had the lockout. It went so fast. So I had to adjust. I wasn't fast, that speed game. And in the last 5 years of my career, it kind of came back a little bit to the old school. It was a mix of both. You got to adjust yourself to the game and to your to your body, to your you cannot go again 5 more years the way he's been playing since he started, because he won't last. Like you can see that now he's losing gas because you can't do that year after year after year after year at this size too, right? But he's a good skill player. He has a good shot. So be more a reader than just forecheck and go, go, go. Understand when to slow down, when to go. And you cannot go 100% all the time. That just doesn't make sense.
He's probably going to have to change his offseason training too, because the training that he's probably been doing has probably been for sheer force. And I don't know. Obviously, I don't know much about training. But what I can tell you is about matrixhomefitness.ca, because on those treadmills, Mike, you can pace yourself. Guys like me can walk. Others can walk faster. Others can run. You bring it home. You discover a club quality workout in the comfort of your own home. Visit matrixhomefitness.ca. But all kidding aside, Mike, he probably has to adjust his training where he probably does more cardio, more core exercises, more Pilates, stretching, flexibility, more stuff like that, than doing stuff where he's going into the fight all the time. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I cannot really help you on the workout part too much, but
you didn't work out either.
I didn't work out too much, but yeah, I understand.
Stop right now. How much did you work out or not work out in the off season? I have to hear this. Okay, the season ends. Let's just say the season ends, and you make the playoffs. You play a couple of rounds. Let's just say it ends end of April, first week of May. All right. And you got to go back into pro camp by the 10th, second week of September. What are you doing from mid-May to mid-September? What did you do?
I used to be at the lake for most of the time. So I didn't work out much. When I started working out, I used to start working out when I used to come back to the city. So if my kids' school started August 15 or mid-August, when I came back to the city, then I used to go to start skating. So I used to work out before and then skate and then just get ready for the season.
So let's just say you were out by the first week of May. The rest of May, nothing. All of June, nothing. All of July, nothing. You come back home in mid-August, and mid-August you pick up your first weight.
Yeah, it's not even a weight. It was those 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds weight. But I was, yeah. So that's when I used to start working out.
Keep talking. Hold on a second.
I said that's when I used to work out. So once I got to the city, the kids were starting to school. I used to go to the rink and work out a little bit. There I go. You know what I'm talking about. But definitely, I don't even know if I can pull that one up. Mine were pink, a little pink on it.
5 pounds.
Yeah. But it was different. It was different then. But that's the way I was. That's the way I was. I don't know. But sometimes I look back and I was like, I tried. I think I tried. Like I was 155. I went up to one. I tried to be like, I couldn't do it.
You were 155.
I was 155 when I got drafted.
My left leg's 155.
Your ankle, not just the leg. I saw you with no shirt last night. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I FaceTime him. I message him to come on the podcast. He doesn't answer. He ends up FaceTiming me back. I don't see who it is. I'm half asleep. I wake up. I got no shirt. He looks at me and goes, "Oh my God."
I got scared there. I was like, "Oh, no, you're in action." I think I caught you in action there.
All right. Sure. So yeah, forget about
You're working out at 12 at night. Can't believe it. That's it.
Okay, so now it's mid-August. You pick up one of these 5 pound weights. What else did you do? Did you do any running like Rocky through the streets of Montreal? Rosemont, Petit Patrie.
Sur le plateau. I used to run the mountain.
Oh,
I used to be a good runner, though. Like I used to be like a cardio runner when I was young, until I started smoking. But
you were a good runner because you were running out of the cops, running away from out of the clubs. Whatever, everyone was coming to close the clubs. Hey, 3 o'clock, we gotta close my shooting.
In the back door.
Oh man, you make me laugh. You're funny and all that. But all kidding aside, as much as I laugh, you've been very open about the fact that you partied quite hard when you played. You just admitted that you hardly worked out in the off season. And I find it incredible, Mike, that you had a great career the way you had. And I have to tell you at the same time, it kind of frustrates me in a way, because if you would have had a different lifestyle and be more committed, you could have played longer and you could have been even better. I mean, have you ever just taken a second to, do you have any regrets? Because obviously you had a good time, you had a great career, and you had a lot of fun. For a lot of people, that's awesome. If you would have had a little bit less fun, you could have had an even greater career. Do you have any regrets?
Oh, that's for sure. Like regrets, it's hard to say because I didn't do the other side, right? If I would have worked all my life and do all that, would I have been satisfied with it? I don't know, right? Because I didn't do that part. But yeah, I do regret a bit, right? I regret there's coaches that had in the past that tried to pull me in, right? To especially junior Guy Boucher trying to help, try to get me the right route. Yeah. But I was much downtown Montreal kid. My mind was, I grew up in Saint Laurent, Mont Royal. All the bars are there. So I was already at a young age attracted by that, right? And then you gave me NHL and then money. And then I was like, well, geez, I'm just going to have fun. If I was able to do both, right? I was able to do both. Obviously, I believe if I would have worked out and committed myself more to my body and my craft, right? Yeah, I think I would have played longer and I would have had a better career, right? But a lot of my dreams I made, right? The only one left is to win the cup. And I wanted to win in Montreal. And we'll see one day. Hopefully, they can do like they did to Martin, just pick me up from anywhere and just be a coach and go for it. But it's hard. Like, not every player can coach, right?
Yeah.
Top players that try to coach can. You still have to. You still need to know how to communicate with your players. How can you give the message to your players so they can receive it and get it? So there's a lot of management and a lot of communication as a coach that you have to do. But a lot of guys can, But a lot of coaches can't do that. And I think Marte's going to be great. Like I said, he was a smart player. He's a top player. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard for me to try to tell him what's going wrong, what's doing right. He's going to have the good answers. Even now, you listen to when he talks. It's really calm. It's really smart. It's a really smart answers.
Yeah.
It's really.
If I can, he's got a lot of humility, and he'll tell you if the game is moving fast for him. I think there was a game in Winnipeg. They lost by a score of 8-4. They were down 4-0. And at one point, he said that they got into too much penalty trouble, and he couldn't catch up. Like for the lines and stuff like that was going a little bit too fast for him. He's talked about leaning on his guys. He's talked about not thinking ahead, not knowing when to play which goalie and stuff like that. There's a lot of humility in Marty St. Louis, which I absolutely love. If you want to pick up a Marty St. Louis jersey or a Mike Ribeiro jersey, any team they may have played for, sportbuffshop.com for all of your officially licensed sports apparel and our sick merchandise. How do you like this one? Double shift your best players. Use code SICK15 for 15% off on all of their items. Mike, Marty St. Louis, 10 wins in 22 games. Dominic Ducharme had 8 wins in 45 games. So he's got more wins in less than half the games. This was a hire that caught a lot of people by surprise, like you said, because we usually see the recycled coaches over and over and over again. Marty St. Louis comes in as a very intelligent player. You talked about him being ultra intelligent, ultra smart because he was smaller. So he had to actually exercise his brain a lot more than somebody who was bigger and could get by on their physical and athletic attributes. Do you think that this could be a trend that now some other teams won't be as nervous or scared about thinking outside the box and hiring coaches that don't have a lot of experience, hiring coaches that coach the peewee level, the bantam level, hiring a Mike Ribeiro of this world? Do you think that he may have been a trendsetter here, started a trend?
I think he could be, but like you said, not just hiring any coach from peewee though. Like, Martin St. Louis was not a guy that just coached peewee all his life. It's a guy with a lot of years of NHL experience. So yeah, I think it could. I won't say a trend because GMs and stuff liked it. The old school always, like you said, rotated. Even Vancouver went back and got, I don't even know his name, but
Bruce Boudreau.
Yeah, so it's like that, but it's a league of friendship too, right?
Yeah.
So, but I believe if there's a lot more hockey players that will become coach after their careers. I think with this one too, when Martin just kind of started that a little bit, I believe a lot more players that didn't coach junior or didn't coach in the American League that will have a chance, even as assistant coach or a power play coach, a PK coach, or just a foot in, and give those guys a chance to show. But like I said, you need to know the guy. You need to know the guy a little bit to understand his mind of hockey, what he's thinking a little bit. Pretty sure the GM knew a little bit of Martin, and probably, what I mean? They were in New York together and stuff. So you understand the mind of Martin and what he can do for the team. So I think it's a little bit of both, but I'm hoping that it's a trend so they can give me a call one day.
That would be good. Mike, defensive coaches. Does it still work in the National Hockey League? Like very defensive minded coaches? Can it work for like more than 1 year? Because talk to us about that. You as an offensive player, if you would have been stuck with a defensive-minded first coach, defensive-minded second, you must find it miserable to play, right? This just seems with this whole concepts over system and Marty St. Louis, and they either score a lot of goals or they give up goals. It doesn't matter, but it's wide open. It's offensive. It seems like it's a place where players can have fun because you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a player's willing to do whatever they can to try and win a Stanley Cup 1 year, 2 years. But at a certain point, you don't want to play defensive hockey all the time, right?
Well, it's not just, I won't say, so the concept, like you said, so a lot of systems, a lot of sports, you win with defense, right? So it's not to not play defense, but it's to give that freedom to your top players to make plays that on a defensive system that coach don't want to, right? So if it's only defensive system and you chip the puck, chip at the blue line, chip at the offensive blue line, dump the puck in a corner, then yeah, like you said, after a year or two, you want freedom. You want, as a top player, you want to be able to slow down the game at the blue line, make a saucer pass, or make a play. So you got to still play well defensively, because if you don't, then you're going to lose, right?
Yeah.
But give that freedom, that freedom to your top players to make a play. Maybe freaking cheat a little bit offensively, right? Because he reads that my defenseman will get the puck. Well, I'm going to clear. Maybe he'll hit me, right?
Yeah.
Give that freedom to top players to take those decisions from instincts and go, right? Martin St, I remember him going behind these and picking up pucks, right?
Yeah.
Instead of staying wide, or so. But I still think it's come playoff, you need to be strong defensively. You need to be able to shut down top players of the other team to win. But give the freedom to your top players and double shift them, like he's on your shirt. Double shift your top players. When they have a good, when they score a shift, they're coming back soon. Give them another 30. So just tell boys, just go for 25. Quick one. Just keep them engaged all the time in the game.
Yeah, Mike, you played probably parts of 6 seasons in Montreal. If I count the playoff games, give or take, it was about 300 games or whatever it was. You know that Montreal is a different animal. I mean, you played for other teams, so you know that Montreal is a different animal compared to everyone else, right? In knowing that, let's just say that if you, Mike Ribeiro, are Nick Suzuki, and you're offered the captaincy at the end of the year, of course it's an honor, and of course you would want it. But would it actually be good for you? Because I believe that you have a guy like Joel Edmondson, for example, okay, who's got 2 years left on his deal. He's going to be there because he's got to mentor the young players. He's big, he's strong, he's got a presence. He takes players out for lunch and stuff like that. He's kind of the leader of that locker room, and he's got a Stanley Cup ring. I believe that if he can do it, not to say that Suzuki can't, because I'm sure that he could, okay, but if he does it for the next 2 years, and then once his time is over with the Canadiens, then you go to Suzuki, I believe in 2 years from now, Suzuki will be more ready for it, more prepared, and it'll be better for him. Do I make sense? Yes or no? You're Nick Suzuki. Would you want the captaincy right away at age 22?
I would have taken it for sure. But like you said, it depends. If your plan is to keep Edmondson for another 2 years after, then I don't know. I think I would have given it to the kid. If it's the kid that you're going to go around, that you're going to build around, right? A lot of teams is your top player, but if the top players still have to be a leader, not only doesn't have to be by speaking all the time, right? I had captains that didn't speak a word in the room, but the work ethic and the way they condone themselves brought this leadership. So I'm not in the room.
It's gonna get fun now.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about Morrow, not Saku.
Best captain you ever had?
Best captain, I guess I'll have to say, Brendan Morrow. I think I was there 6 years, and he wasn't a guy that talked much in the room.
Okay,
he was a silent killer, we'll say.
Okay,
but when he looked at you and when he said something, people listen.
Is there a captain that you thought was not that great as a captain? Let me just come out and say it.
I had Shea too. Shea too was great.
Okay. Was Saku Koivu a bad captain, a good captain, a very good captain, or a great captain? And why?
Wow. I'll say probably the first one you said. I didn't say it, but you said it. Probably the lowest part, but he was loved. He was loved by Montreal. Even me, when I was a kid, I was looking up to him, right?
Yeah.
The only thing that I felt was that, I don't know. It was hard. I was still young, right? I was still trying to understand the game of NHL. It's just, it depends. You cannot be a captain, and when you lose, and you have a goal and you're happy, and then if you win and you don't have a point, you're not. I understand as a player, offensive players, you want your little cookies, you want your points and stuff, right? Uh, but at a certain point, as a captain, it has to be a straight line. You cannot be tilting one or the other way. It's straight. You do the right thing, and it doesn't matter if you didn't score. If you score, you're the same kind of captain, right? So it was kind of
when you won games and Saku Koivu didn't score or pick up points, your impression was that he was less happy than when you actually lost games and he picked up points.
Yeah,
that was your impression.
That was my impression then.
Okay. Was it the impression?
But like I said, like as players, it happens all the time. You lose, you score too. Like inside, you're like kind of I still score, right?
Yeah.
But as a captain, I don't think you can show that, right? You cannot display that.
Was that a feeling that you could say today that you were one of the only ones to get that impression, or was that an impression that several had of him?
I think several guys can see it, right? You can feel even if it's a silent, if you're silent, you can feel someone silence, right?
Are you talking about the three amigos of Ribeiro, Theodore, and Daniel, or was it more than that?
I think it was probably more than that.
Really?
Yeah, there's a few checks too in there that that was close to it. Yeah, but like I said,
did you ever talk to him about that?
To who?
To Saku about that? About your impression that you got or whatever, or you were just too young and you weren't going there?
Yeah, I don't talk to anyone like that. I didn't talk to anyone like that.
Yeah,
I was like, when I started, I was in my corner. Especially my first few camps, the names that were there was unbelievable. Like who I had, like Dan Fuss, Odette. I can go on and on with the names that Montreal had back in the day. And no, I was just a fan. All right, I was just a fan of Montreal Canadiens since I'm a kid. Mm-hmm. So when I got there, I was really like jaw dropping. I was like, oh my gosh, those guys are big. I was like, I'm gonna get killed here, right? Like I remember my first camp, I played wing, I think, with Don Fuss. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's not just big too. Those guys were big.
Yeah.
So I was more impressed. I didn't say anything. I was the guy that, especially back in the day, pick up their luggage under the bus.
You did that, eh?
Oh yeah. And then it stopped doing. Kids start crying because if you ask them to do too much as a rookie, then you're done nowadays.
My God, I could talk to you for hours, but why don't we end it in this? I will let everyone know watching this episode. I think it's sick. If you love it and you think it's sick, comment sick on all social media platforms. SICK. Tell me, Mike.
Here, one thing. I will have a camp, hockey camp, I think this summer.
Oh, yeah?
It's me and Dajne. We're trying to do the dates. Will probably be end of July, beginning of August. I'll post it on my Facebook when I know all the details about it. But hockey camp in Montreal.
All right. When are you doing one with Koivu?
I can do one. I think that's in the past, right?
No, it's in the past. Yeah, of course.
It's 20 years ago, right? So
yeah.
No, if I see him, I'll say hi. Even when he went to Anaheim and I said hi after the game, during the game too. It was what it was, but you got to move on from things like that.
You guys weren't presidents of each other's fan club at the time, right?
Yeah.
And he you talked about some of the things you didn't like in him, and I don't think he liked you all that much either.
Yeah, that's it. That's pretty simple. And that's okay. Hey, you cannot have 25 brothers and love them all. You probably only have a sister or a brother that you can't stand. Everyone's like that. So 20, it's hard to manage 20 players. You're trying to be a family, but the thing is, when you get on the ice, you work for each other, you play for each other, no matter what.
Yeah. He probably didn't like that you were never in the weight room.
Yeah, probably. That's for sure.
All right, Mike Ribeiro.
Should have seen my six-pack when I played.
Yeah, no more six-pack anymore?
No more six-pack.
You had a six-pack on that 155-pound frame?
No, I never had one pack, I think.
Hey, Mike, when are we going to do this again?
Anytime. Let me know. I'm
never gonna laugh again when you say you want to coach the Montreal Canadiens. Doesn't matter. How much experience you have again?
17 years in the NHL.
17 years in the NHL. That's enough.
That's enough experience to be a coach.
That's enough experience. Hey, Mike, you're doing well. Everything's good.
Everything's great.
You're in Nashville as we speak. How's your son doing?
It's great. Season's over. Actually, right now I'm going to go with him and buy him a prom suit. So that's my next step.
When is the next time we're gonna? So that's your camp. You're gonna be in Montreal this summer.
Montreal this summer. I'm trying to come maybe next month or in the next few months. I'll let you know when I'm there. I'll come by and say hi.
Let me know. We're gonna go to the gym.
Perfect. Get my membership.
All right, Mike. Thanks again. This podcast, it's a sick podcast. I'm Marinero. I gotta go. I gotta lift weights.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinero on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by 8.6, Intense by Nature, and La Cage. If the last time you went to La Cage was when the Habs won the cup, it's time you went back to La Cage. The menu will surprise you.